What's going on, Sideboard podcast listeners? This is your host, Caleb. We got a new setup going on here thanks to Tim. Tim, how's it going?
Not too bad. How are you doing?
Good. So just wanted to check in with you guys. You know, it's Thanksgiving week. We wanted to give you guys some content to listen to. We know how family can get, on your nerves a little bit. So here's a little getaway episode so you can have something to do, Thursday night or whatever. But yeah, so let's just dive right in. Tim, how's your week been? We're just gonna talk about that real quick, and then we'll dive into our topics.
Yeah, it's been pretty good. Got some Christmas shopping done today a little bit early. Just getting prepared to restart my job on Monday, so pretty exciting. And then just getting stuff ready for Thanksgiving, of course. What about you?
Same. I got a lot of homework due early next week, so I'm trying to get caught up on that before Thanksgiving so I can actually enjoy it.
Nice.
But yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
though.
Just kind of winding down from the weekend also.
Yeah, it was pretty fun. So for those of you that don't know, we went to Rancho Cordova to play in a PPT Cali event. It was 24 players.
I'm not sure how many we had.
I think it was 24, so pretty small compared to like regionals and stuff, because on the West Coast we're used to like 2, 3, 4, 500 or so. But that doesn't really change the field, really. It just means that you're going to play less rounds, which actually is a little bit more difficult, because if you lose once or twice, you're done pretty much.
Yep. Or even draw.
Yeah, exactly, which we'll talk about that a little bit later, because that was a big deal. So first topic of the day, I just have my little notebook here. If you see me looking down, that's why. I just wanted to talk about first impressions of the PPT California event and just, overall thoughts. We just got out of it. What do you think?
So first off, I want to thank the shop ZJ's Games and Collectibles for hosting the event. It was awesome. It was great to have an in-person event again after so long. I think the last one we had was the TOP weekend, I think, or maybe a couple weekends after that.
Yeah, it was definitely TOP.
It's been since the end of February, beginning of March, since we've had a real event.
8 months.
Yeah, it felt good to get back on the saddle, get behind a physical deck across from a real life person. Felt good. Had a little bit of nerves because it's been so long. It was kind of awkward, but I don't know. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah. Like you said, it was really nice to get out and play an in-person event. We've been playing a lot of online and so that sort of thing. I know me and you test in person, once a week or so, but like an actual event with other people and other decks and stuff, it was really nice and refreshing to get to just experience, a little bit of the tournament scene that we don't normally get to see in these certain times.
Oh yeah, 100%. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, but overall, pretty good experience, fun. Is that kind of what I'm getting from you?
Yeah, I mean, there were a couple little hiccups and things that were disagreed upon between us as players and the TO and judge there, but outside of that, everything was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And then also, like Tim said, I want to, give a little thanks to ZJ's Games and Zeke and all them over there for running the event. It was pretty fun, organized, that kind of stuff.
Yeah, and be on the lookout for some more premier events coming from them in the next few months also.
Yes, I heard they're going to be doing a couple more soon-ish, so watch out for that. So my next topic is, what deck did you play? Your choice, your kind of thought process going into picking that deck, and the outcome of picking that deck, and kind of what did you learn from just the deck choice experience of this event?
So I went with Vegex, probably no surprise, but the actual list I played was quite a bit different than I was used to playing. I think that had a little bit to do with my results. I know we joked and laughed a lot the night before about how I should just take my kind of joke list that, I mean, it's really just for fun, but for some reason it slaps. And I kept thinking about doing it, and then I'd ask all you guys, and you all just were laughing. I was like, nope, not doing it. But it turns out, I think if I would have done that, I would have had a drastically different result.
Yeah. Sometimes the couple days after an event, you'll feel kind of that way. I think I know I felt that way like immediately after, like, just in the beginning of the event, immediately after being told the floor rules, I felt that way kind of, and that's our next topic, but we'll get to it in a second. It was like, man, if I wish I would have played this deck. But at the end of the day, you kind of want to go with the deck you're comfortable with, and that's what we both did. And I think it paid off as far as misplays and just overall mistakes. We didn't make very many.
Yeah,
and that plays a huge role into how much success you get, right?
I had a pretty embarrassing mistake turn one of game one, where I milled pretty good to hit almost everything, and then I forgot to plus my unison.
Oh geez, and then it died.
It immediately died, but I think I still won on turn two because I hit another one. It was either turn two or turn three, because I hit like the absolute nut. But it's just like little things like that you may not remember because it's just been so long since you've been across from a real opponent, that little things just slip.
Right, and that's why we always push for like the week going up to an event, play test without like takesies, backsies, because a lot of times in local scenes and non-competitive testing, you'll just be like, oh, let me plus up real quick, I forgot to do that at the end of the turn or whatever. And it's like, in tournaments, that's a big no. It's like, no sir, you can't do that.
Yeah. I mean, outside from that, I don't think I personally had
with no takebacks.
We had a little weird audio clip there, but like I was saying, outside of that one little thing, I don't think I personally made any real misplays. I don't know. It was a very interesting field, I think, compared to what we see at our locals. And by locals, I mean our testing group.
Yeah. I think our group was like a little bit ahead of that format, because like they were all, so the format in Rancho Cordova was basically Soul Striker or X Blue deck. Some of them were AOD, which was kind of like the spice for the day.
It felt like it was like 75% Soul Striker, like 10% Vegito, and then 15% the rest of us.
Yeah, pretty much. Like there was only, the rest of the field was represented by like one player on each deck,
except for maybe like the 2 or 3 people on Go Tanks. I think there was 3, including
there was like
2 of our guys.
Right. So it was basically just all blue.
Yeah, which we're not used to because we've kind of moved on from blue, at least in our group. Mostly because you guys don't like playing against baby, and that's what I was playing.
Well, that's a different kind of blue, Tim.
Yeah, that's real blue. That's like magic blue.
That's magic blue. Yes. Not Dragon Ball blue. Dragon Ball blue is different.
Not that.
Yeah, but anyways, so the field was weird and like it just didn't really feel like our normal meta, like what we've been seeing with Marcus's streams, Joey's testing, our personal testing, and so the results were just whack.
It seemed very different from all of the other like premier event, like top cut results and all that stuff. At least I thought so.
Yeah, it was. I think so. Because like you look at the top 8, so like the first place is mostly the same. It's always going to be like, Soul Striker, Vegex, or
Go Tanks or Red Broly.
Right. But then you look at the top 8 and it's like, what is this?
Yeah, it was just weird, man. I haven't seen that much blue in a room in a long time.
Yeah, they must be followers of Marcus.
Yeah,
definitely.
100%.
Anyways, so you want to just go over your results real quick, and then I'll go over mine, and then we can move on. Go over like best of 3 and best of 1, so we can transition into our debacle.
Yeah, so I ended up going 1, 1, and 2. I started with a draw. We finished game 2 in time and just decided not even to try for game 3. The second round I played against, the first round was Soul Striker. The second round was Surge Broly, which was weird because the last time I really played against Surge Broly was at the Vegas Regional against Jordan Markle. And he like absolutely curb stomped my Black Boo deck. That one I 2-0'd, which was funny because the like absolute haymaker of that match was that one of Black Mass Saiyan the Devastator that I threw into the deck like the week leading up to it.
Bro, you were like, hey, do you have this card from like set, Ancient? 5. I was like, yeah, I got like, 1,000 of those or something. And then I was like, I know what you're doing. You probably shouldn't do it. And then next
you guys were all like no, don't do it. And I was like, but think about it, right? There's a lot of Vegex. There's a lot of Go Tanks. There's a lot of Broly. And blue decks are playing some decent amount of Saiyans because of like Saiyan Instincts and like Trunks negates and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So it makes sense. Like if I don't hit 15 Saiyans in my own drop, between the two of us, we're 1,000% doing it because I usually have at least 13 on my own.
Right.
So like over the course of just one of the games against Surge Broly, the thing did 4 damage.
Yeah, so I think it paid off, and you bought that SPR at the shop the day of the event, which was kind of funny.
For like $3. It was awesome. It's still like one of the best SPRs too.
Yeah, it looks nice.
Round 3, I played against your teammate on Cross Worlds, Gabe. He was on Vegito, and I tried to be the greediest person alive and turn 2 kill him with Man on a Mission. And he comboed out, and then he slammed a Zeno Unison, swung, beamed, and gave it triple, and I died.
Like you do, Vegito. That's one of the best, perks of playing Vegito is just at any point in the game, I can slap my Unison and say, you die.
Yeah, well, I mean, it didn't help me that I did 6 damage to him and 4 or 5 damage to me in 2 turns.
Right. Like if you had just been at 4 life or 5 life, right?
Well, I
Probably
was
okay.
at 4 because I dumped
But-
hand on man on a mission.
Yeah, but
he swung leader to give me 1 card.
Imagine if that was a power burst.
Oh, we would have been so good.
Well, no, because you probably didn't have a drop because man
Oh,
on
I
mission,
did.
right? You comboed enough cards.
Yeah,
Oh, okay, that would have been funny.
I was hoping,
That would
but
have been really funny because he would have been very dead.
yeah. So that round ended real quick. The second game didn't last a whole lot longer than the first. And then the 4th round was against Green Go Tanks, and that was kind of a frustrating round just because I didn't know about the floor rules. I think I was in the restroom when they were announced, but we'll get into that in a second.
Yeah, so you ended up losing that one.
No, we ended up drawing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 'cause I won the first game, and then we drew in time. But we'll talk about the floor rules in a second.
Yeah, so best of 3 record was 1-1-2.
Yeah.
What about best of 1?
Best of 1, I was 3-1.
Okay.
The only game 1 loss was to Gabe.
Yeah. So that's interesting. So for my record, I went 0 wins, 2 losses, and 2 ties. And so basically how the day went for me, because I built a deck of Sin Shinron that was essentially what we called Iron Wall of Sin. It used to be Iron Wall of Hatch, but now it was Iron Wall of Sin. And the whole point of the deck is once I hit turn 6, you cannot win. And eventually I'll just kill you some way or the other. And so the whole point is to defend life and, just not die until 6 and then do the leader and all that jazz. So most of my game 1s I was advantaged because my opponent either didn't have the answer to kill me or they just didn't really get what I was trying to do, that kind of thing. Because Sin has like a lot of options it can do. And so my game 1s all went pretty well, aside from when I bricked against Go Tanks in round 3. I didn't see a Mechi till turn 7. But other than that, I won. I would have, if I went best of 1, I would have went 2-2. I would have went 2-2. Yeah, my 2 ties would have been 2 wins. My 2 losses were still losses. But yeah, so the whole point of bringing out the best of 1 and best of 3 scenario is our kind of topic for this episode. That we our little debacle we had over the weekend that was frustrating was that the floor rules that we played by in that event that were not, I don't want to say forced upon us, but the floor rules that were enacted that day were that games 1, 2, and 3 were all decided if in time and went to time, they were decided by highest life. So that means in game 1, if there is no clear winner, whoever has higher life wins. In game 2, if there is no clear winner, whoever has higher life wins that game, and whoever has more game wins in the match wins the match or ties the match. And then same for game 3. Obviously, if it's game 3 though, there's a clear winner because game 3 and game 1 should be 2 games should be won by the same person. Problem being, for me specifically, is my game 1s took 50 plus minutes. So 50 plus minutes, and that was my strategy. And it wasn't slow playing because my deck gets to turns, like round 1 I played my teammate Templacious and we got to 11 energy.
Do you want to tell our listeners why you guys got to such high energy?
Yeah, so normally like when I get to 6 or 7 I just start to win because I summon 7 dudes and then I have a cooler for the 7 energy turn. So if they negate or whatever, I just say no and then kill them. And so usually it's a pretty decently fast deck for being control. But Tim Palacios decided to run, instead of turning the tide in his blue Vegito deck, 7-drop Zeno, the one that used to chain Zeno out, with the pan deck and all that. Well, in that deck, he just decided that it was better against the field than turning the tide, so he would just hard cast it for 7. And so when I did my 6-mana ability, he responded with a Zeno, and then he responded with another Zeno, and then another one, and then another one. So we played 4 turns of getting Zenoed, and eventually we just slapped a Vegeta Unison for 4, -3'd, and said double to the face and won. But that was game 1, and it took 55 minutes.
Yeah, and that's not because either one of you was playing slow, but I mean, Sin's game plan from turn 1 to 5 is don't die. And then from 6 to either 7 or 8, if it goes that long, you can usually close the game out. But when you get Zenoed 4 times after that, it's gonna drag on a little longer, or a lot longer.
And his turn 6, before he Zenoed, he Fu Shrouded me, so I literally had to leader effect and then just pass, because I could swing with all of them and all that. I did that, but then they don't have effects, so it wasn't as valuable on the smaller ones.
I guess it's still free attacks, and you get to restand them anyways, but maybe it wasn't in your best interest to. I don't know.
I still got double strike and crit, but I think he trunks negated, so half of them, or the bigger ones, couldn't swing.
Rip.
Well, they could, but I didn't want to ditch 2.
Yeah.
But anyways, so neither of us slow played. It's just I presented a board doing what my deck does, and then he presented an answer, and we did that 4 turns in a row, got to 10 energy, and ended up looking at the clock, and it's 5 to 10 minutes left in the game, or in the match, excuse me. And so we finished that game, we shuffled up, went to game 2, and the floor rules were highest life wins game 2, and that goes to game wins on the match. So all Tim had to do was
not
punch my leader a couple times and not take damage, which is already Blue's game plan, because they made Saiyan Instincts and they awakened turn 1 with a blocker, and he lost, so he gets to go first.
Yep.
And so he ended up winning game 2 because he was at 8 life and I was at 6, and we tied. And it was just wow, I spent all that time doing nothing for a tie. Well, I mean, I did a whole bunch of stuff, but I spent all that. I basically felt like I wasted that whole match, right?
Yeah, and so my 4th round was kind of the opposite of that. I had a really fast game 1 where I won, and then in game 2, all he did was attack my board, which, granted, you're still advancing the game. That's totally fine to do. But doing that with the intention of having higher life just to win game 2 and draw, that's the part that I didn't like. And this isn't to bash the store or anything like that. It was just something we disagreed on.
And we're just sharing our experience with the whole event. Well, I mean, obviously we had fun. It was fun going out there playing games. We even, after the event, bought a couple draft boxes and drafted at our hotel, so that was nice. But we're just sharing our experience of the floor rules given, so that way when shop owners decide to change the rules from what Bandai gives them, they can take this into account and think about it and say, is the rule I'm changing going to be for the better?
Yeah, so from my perspective and experience, what this house rule promoted was, if you lose game 1, just don't die in game 2.
Yes.
You don't have to attack them. Just attack their board. Because most decks have some form to at least take one of their own life. And if you're not attacking their leader, they're going to use it.
Right. Especially in decks like, Sin Shenron, Vegex, where you're not drawing a whole bunch just because your cards say draw.
And another part of the issue with how that floor rule was, is it punishes decks that use their life.
Right. Like, this is kind of a oxymoron, but Reboot Gohan, like if they were trying to kill the opponent and they went down to 1 on game 2,
they would just automatically lose.
And the opponent was still at 3, they just lose, even if they didn't ult or leader ult or anything like that.
Yep. So just something that we personally disagreed with, and we voiced this with the shop owner, the tournament organizer, judge, all that was there. We had a conversation about it afterwards, and we were cool, hung out with the shop owner and everything after Top Cut started and all that.
Yeah, and then real quick, I want to go over, I don't know if you guys know the regular rules for best of 3. So the Bandai rules is that game 1, there has to be a clear and decisive winner, even if you go to time. In any of the games, there has to be a clear and decisive winner. You have to take all 8 of your opponent's life, or they have to deck out, or victory strike them, or something like that, to not tie. If you're in game 1 and neither of you kill your opponent, you tie. In regular best of 3.
Yeah, and I believe the same goes for game 3 as well.
Yes, it's all 3 games except in Top Cut, because in Top Cut there's no. It depends on who's running the event, but most of the time there's either no time limit, so you just play till somebody dies, or there's a time limit, but they enforce tiebreakers in each individual game. Because you can't tie in Top Cut, otherwise you both advance or both not advance.
Yeah, drawing in Top Cut is just not a thing.
Yeah, and so that was just our experience. And so me personally, playing Sin, if I knew going into the event that this were the floor rules, I would have definitely not played Sin, because we even tested it out the night before. Me and Josh Valenzuela, one of my teammates and our local testing friends, we played a game because he wanted to play against Sin and I wanted to play against Go Tanks, and our game took an hour and a half. Given Josh is a generically slower player because he thinks a whole lot, and we weren't really pushed for time because it was just the night before, and so we weren't playing fast. But an hour and a half for one game, and it wasn't slow playing. It was just Sin doesn't die.
Yeah, and that's a good point. Is some decks, that's their game plan, is to just not die. There is a such thing in this game as control decks, and they shouldn't be punished for just doing what their deck does.
Right. And unless, even a small choice like playing Celzino Secret would have changed my matchups a lot, because I would have had a clear end game of draw Celzino, kill them on X turn.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's just our little rant / debacle about the floor rules. And to future TOs, organizers, shop owners out there, if before you consider changing the Bandai given floor rules, just think about the impact on the player base, and because at the end of the day, it's all about having fun. And then preface this with me and Tim and our group, we still had tons of fun. It's just a small hiccup that we didn't really like. But,
I want to reiterate again, there's no bad blood or anything between any of us that went up there with the shop or anything like that.
Yeah,
After
absolutely.
Top Cut started and they announced Top Cut, we still had tons of fun hanging out at the shop. I know you played some casual games with the shop owner. We were chatting and stuff, looking through draft box singles, joking around with them. But we still had a good time. We had a disagreement and we talked about it like adults, and that was it. And we're
Yep.
just sharing our experience now, like you said.
Yeah,
And
because
I just want to make sure that everybody understands that this is not to bash that shop whatsoever.
right. And who knows, maybe shop owners out there are also playing this way, and this might bring a different perspective to them, and they might change their mind. And I'm not advocating for people to, change just because that's our opinion, but putting our opinion out there is the point of this podcast.
Exactly.
So moving on, we have 2 more points, and then we'll wrap it up. Final point for this little segment is, what did we learn from the event? Primarily like meta / deck choice / playing style / those sorts of things.
Northern California loves blue. That was what I learned.
Oh god, yeah, that's 1000% true. They must. Oh gosh,
It was also interesting being at a shop that had draft box stuff available to purchase, like singles and all that. Makes a big difference because our local shops, they don't crack product open really, so we don't have a chance to buy singles locally. And I feel like that makes a huge difference.
Yeah. Cutting into that really quick, we do have one local which we buy singles from, and they are a very good local. They're semi-local, like 30 minutes away. Our sponsor, Madtown Gaming. If you're looking for any sealed product or singles, you can also get by messaging Adrian, the shop owner. Head on over to madtowntcg.com. They have sealed product for lots of games. They have terrariums, which are really nice and good gifts for the holidays. And just go support our sponsor.
Yep. And then just to tag along or tag on to that, if you're looking for any singles, whether it be Dragon Ball, Magic, Pokemon, whatever, we would appreciate you using our TCGPlayer affiliate link for those singles you were going to buy anyways. It costs you a whopping $0 extra. Helps us out a whole bunch with that little kickback that we get that goes towards the channel and making upgrades and stuff along the way. And then lastly is our merch store. I know you wore the sweatshirt for the first time this weekend because I brought mine. How warm was that bad boy?
Dude, it was nice. I was rocking the blue. I think the color was blue, but it was like a gray blue hoodie. It was very good fitting, and it was super warm. I even had to take it off because I was like sweating.
Yeah, so check out our merch store. I'm working on getting a couple of holiday-ish type things up since it's the holiday season. But pick up a sweatshirt. They are mighty, mighty toasty, and you won't regret it.
Yep. Check it out. Links down below. Anyways, moving back on to the topic we were on, which was, it was always nice being at a shop where you're playing and they also have singles, because between rounds you can look at the singles or you have the brand new cards available to purchase. And also that means the locals have them. So if they've been brewing decks or whatever, you're going to see the new stuff.
Yeah, we saw, I think, outside of our group that had like a couple like commons and uncommons from draft box that we ordered and we're lucky enough to get, basically just the My Cycle.
Yeah.
I think everyone else at that event, because they were basically all locals, they had like SRs, Giant Force rares, all kinds of draft box stuff in their decks. Like I saw a few different Giant Force unisons throughout the day. couple other Giant Force cards in different matchups. Whereas if we were doing that locally, we 1000% would not have seen any of those cards.
Right. And some of the more notable ones, kind of like we've been talking about a little bit, were Toa Unison, Tim, like you've been saying. It was
Snap bought 4 of them, and they were the last 4 that the shop had at the time.
Tim Felicia sided that in against me and stole my Sin 9 drop, which was annoying. But he recovered. We slapped down a Mechi and just stole it right back, so it was okay.
I've been telling you guys since the reveal of that card. 4 energy to steal something is insane.
Another card that we learned about that was super hot was the, I want to say, Turles Unison. It's a 3-drop blue. Yeah,
the double blocker. The
Raditz. That's what it is. That card. It got played against me, but it was whatever.
God, that singular card was like an iron wall.
Imagine if it was yellow.
So in my first round where I played against Soul Striker, in game 2, he slapped that down on 3, and I just couldn't do damage to him after that. It was disgusting. Like that combined with Hatch, combined with like D-Magic, Heroic Prospects. This man commied me. I can't tell you the last time I saw a 1-drop commie.
Bruh, I let Gabe borrow mine the day of the event.
It was just insane how incredibly powerful that Unison was. I don't think I did a single damage to him after that hit the field.
Yeah, one of the tricks with that Unison is it blocks twice, but that doesn't stop you from just swinging into it, and it only has 3 health. So just kill it the turn it comes out, because it's going to lose a marker anyways when it blocks.
Yeah, I tried.
Yeah, sometimes it's tough, but yeah, so that was a card. The Toa was a card, and then what else got played? I can't think of a whole lot else that got played on me from Draftbox. I mean, some guy played the 5-drop Gohan, the one that becomes a 2 if you have 2 or less life.
Yeah.
It that basically didn't do anything.
Cool, but maybe not in that matchup, yeah. I saw a few red ones because I played against that Surge Broly deck.
Yeah.
The 3-drop Piccolo or King Piccolo, I think. Right? The 3-drop that plays for free and then warps at the end of turn.
Yeah.
I think it's a King Piccolo. That card is pretty cool.
There's Piccolo Jr., who's the 1-drop. The 2-drop is you're talking about the Unisons, right?
No. The battle card, the SR.
Oh, okay.
The 3-drop. I'm pretty sure it's a King Piccolo.
Yeah, it plays for free and then it goes
double
away.
Strike. Yeah. That card was cool. I will say from personal experience, because he also played the Piccolo Jr. Unison, the red 1-drop Giant Force Unison. That card did not matter at all. Like I see on paper in theory what it's supposed to do, why it's supposed to be good, but it is so easy to kill if you even feel like killing it, because it honestly doesn't really do anything.
Yeah, I feel like maybe something that, like, I don't know, in Bulma where you can block for it or something would be cool.
Maybe, yeah. Because like the whole like gimmick and upside is like if your opponent takes a damage or crits a life, then it gets a marker, right?
Yeah.
But in my match, when that was played on me, I had an energy up to power burst with, and I took the life anyways because I just didn't care.
Yeah.
It wasn't threatening. Its ultimate is like -6 counters. So I just left it at 3.
Yeah.
No big deal.
It's probably good in slower matchups where they take their own life a little bit slowly so you can proc it each turn.
And then it's plus like -6k something. Which like, yeah, it can kill a 1-drop unless it has barrier. but that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I think the reason they played in Broly is because it's just marginally better than the Kale one.
Yeah.
It just like actually does something.
Yeah.
You know?
But I don't think that unison is very good personally.
Yeah. Anything else specific that you learned from this event regarding Draftbox before we move on to our final point?
About Draftbox specifically,
Or event in general?
I don't know. I mean, I feel like we've kind of, at least I think I've said everything, at least on my end, towards the event. I will say though about Draftbox 6, while it is very obvious and true that there's not a whole lot of power in this draft box generically, there's still a lot of really fun stuff in it.
Yeah, there's a whole lot of like synergistic cards.
There's a lot of stuff that bumps up the power of decks that are like hanging around tier 2-ish. Like, I know none of us really paid attention to the Lord Slug stuff, but this does actually pretty good. And Slug is always hanging around tier 2. So I think right build in the right hands figures out the ratios that it could find its way in.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I just think read through the draft box cards again. See if you guys can find any little gold nuggets. I will share really quickly one that I found that I talked about a little bit while we were there, is the blue-green Tapion.
Yeah, dude, that card's fire. They got bought out at the shop we were at.
There is some real cool stuff you can do with that, and that's where I'm going to leave it for that card.
Yes, we will leave it at that.
What about you?
So, yeah, real quick before we move on, I want to just say the one biggest thing that I learned, because this event, so essentially for me, there's two spectrums, right? When you're choosing a deck, there is one end where you're playing control and you're playing don't die and then do this thing, turn whatever, right? Invoker, Hatch, Sin, etc. Then there's the other end where you're playing aggro and you're playing like Reboot Gohan, where it's either turn 2, either you die or I die. And I leaned heavily towards the Sin side this event because I had it fully foiled out. I was testing it. I liked it. I felt good game 1. I was like, oh, what's a sideboard? I don't need that. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And the thing that I learned from this event that I preach to players all the time that I didn't preach to myself was, let's go get food. And that's a joke. It's an inside
you
joke.
Say that at like every event or after every event.
It's an inside joke, meaning play a deck that has a definitive turn that it wants to win, that wants to win quickly, because at the end of a round and at the end of an event, the person who has the most stamina will generically do better than everyone else. And I suffered from that at this event. I didn't really suffer from the stamina as much, but I was starving and I was like thirsty and all that. But every single game I went to time. Yep. Every single one. And you don't want to leave it. You don't want extra variables in a high variance game to begin with.
Definitely.
So the thing I learned the most is maybe step towards the middle a little bit of that spectrum that I just talked about, and play a deck that wins a little bit quicker, or has a game plan of this is my finisher, and not just I'll overwhelm you because I summon 7 guys every turn past turn 6.
Yeah.
So that's what I learned. And I'm going to save Sin for best of 1 from here on out. But
I know something else you learned after I repeatedly told you for like a week and you didn't do it.
Wait, let me guess. I can't think of it.
anyone playing Sin or Go Long decks, play a Dark Banisher Fu in your deck, please.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Because you know what happens if you don't kill them on turn 6 or turn 7?
You just
You go to
hardcast
turn
the
8
Dark
and
Banisher.
hardcast it.
Yeah,
And then you win the game.
I had Fu Shrouded in my hand, and I had 10 energy, and I already had all my dragons out, and I was like, man, I should hardcast this Fu Shrouded. But then I read it, and it was like, it doesn't do anything unless you overwhelm it. And I was like, well, I don't want to do that.
Yep.
But then if I had Banisher, could have just slapped it down and been like, all right, cool.
Yep.
All right, you lose.
Go wide or go long decks. Play Dark Banisher, please, so you can end the game.
It's still good, guys. It's still very good.
It's even better when it doesn't go away.
Yep. In those once in a while games.
All right. So do
All
we
right,
have one last topic?
Last topic. It's going to be quick. It is, what is the first and or second expansion deck you're going to build?
I'm pretty sure we're both going to say the same too. The ones that I want to play the most because they seem the most fun are Garlic and Ginyu. But I'm probably also... I'm definitely going to try out Ramp, SS4 Vegeta Ramp. Because I think that the card it got from the expansion is just busted.
Yeah.
But I do also... I want to try the Trunks deck with that new card. I just want to see how big of an impact knowing all of your life actually makes outside of a Wish Leader, because they're not really playable now. But I think the most fun to play are going to be Ginyu and Garlic Jr.
Nice. Those are good choices.
What about you?
For me, it was Garlic as number one because I built it for like $5 and it's basically ready except for the expansion cards.
And Chi Chis.
Then I have Chi Chis.
You got 4?
I only play 3. I got one from Marcus and bought 2 on an auction for like $8.
I still have to pick my Chi Chis up.
Yikes.
Which I can do through our affiliate link.
Yes, you can. Which you should. Anyways, the second deck is Earthlings, Earthling Tribal. There's like a whole crap ton of them that exist, but we're going to start filtering, funneling, and theorizing the deck. I think it'll be fun.
Seems cool.
With that new Shenron Unison.
It'll be fun to... I don't know if you're going to build it with your team or if you want to try and tag team it like we used to do with stuff, but...
Yeah, we'll have to...
I haven't built a red deck in a very long time. So
they got a lot of toys.
They do. They just never seem to be able to get the job done anymore.
Yeah. Yeah. A counter would be nice. Just like green wants as well. But yeah. It'll be fun.
Yeah, definitely.
Any final thoughts before we close out, Tim?
No, I just again want to thank ZJ's Games up in Rancho Cordova for a really fun weekend. Also, thank you PPG for allowing shops to host this Pro Play tour across the country. We don't normally get Pro Play stuff on the West Coast, but it's definitely nice to have some premier events going on. Again, I want to thank our sponsor, Madtown Games, Madtown TCG. They've got tons of cool stuff to pick up for the holidays. And I want to thank all you guys, all the listeners, subscribers, everyone that supports us, listens to us every week. You guys are awesome. Thanks for spending your time with us every week.
Yep. Ditto on all of what Tim said. And yeah, that's pretty much all I was going to say too.
Nope, I did it for you.
Yep. All right. Well, this is the Sideboard Podcast. Checking out. Have a good Thanksgiving, guys.
See ya.